Everyone wants to feel better. That's what all of us are doing all the time. Everything we do, from scratching our butt to helping other people to, doing work and pursuing our hobbies in the world, even people trying to take over other countries. Ultimately, it's because they think it'll feel good in some way when they accomplish that thing, whatever it is, or that to not do it would feel terrible, would feel bad. Maybe you can imagine some warlord who thinks that, to not attack the country next door would feel terrible because he would feel weak and pathetic, right? And he doesn't want to feel that, so instead he'll go and attack the country next door in order not to feel those sensations of weakness and patheticness. And most people are doing this in the wrong way, our warlord included, if they want to really feel better. Because what they're doing is we're normally trying to reject and change how we're feeling, push it away or manipulate it as a way to feel better. And what my central thesis here today is that, in fact, you want to go more into it. You want to learn to feel better, feel more skillfully, feel deeper, feel more fully. And that is actually the best path to getting where you want to go, which is feeling better. It also saves a lot of effort in starting businesses and invading countries and such, which is handy. So why is this the case? Because your emotions, which, by the way, they're all mediated through the body. They're sensations and energies in the body. If you didn't have a body, if you were just a floating mind, then there will be no way of feeling anything at all. You wouldn't feel like light or heavy or sad or happy or sleepy or awake. Like everything is or successful or not, or aggressive or whatever. All of it's mediated through the body. And these signals are coming up to motivate you in different directions. But because of the way humans work, we're kind of fragmented into many parts. And some of these emotions and energies that come up, they're not allowed because they feel like they're unsafe. Like it's unsafe to express your anger in the family. It's unsafe to, express your fear at school. Or in different ways, we're sort of become very blocked, and these parts of us, these emotions, aren't able to come through properly. And so we've learned to really resist our emotions. And that's how we came to be in this situation where, if we're anxious, we try and change the world outside. We don't address the feeling itself. We don't feel the feeling. We instead, might, imagine you're going on a trip and you're really worried. You might pack way too much stuff because you're really anxious as an attempt to feel better, right? It's an attempt to assuage the anxiety you're feeling by manipulating the world and going nowhere near the feeling. And we might try and control people like colleagues or your spouse or family members, right? We'll try and tell them to do certain things so that we feel better. Our anxiety will be eased. And the problem is that if we try and reject, we've learned to reject these emotions, but when you reject that emotion, it doesn't just disappear. It can sort of disappear temporarily, but it just goes down as you're just pushing it down into your unconscious in the body where it kind of lurks. And it sort of keeps trying to come up to the surface again. And if we're generally feeling a bit of lack, feeling a bit trapped, stuck in life, it's, depressed, anxious, it's because of all these trapped emotions that have not been allowed. And so, on daily life as well, these things get triggered, things happen to us. And some of that sadness from the past, some of that fear from the past, some of that anger from the past, these wounds that we're carrying from childhood, they get triggered up. But we repeat the same process of pushing them back down again, which just intensifies the loop of them getting pushed back down, coming up to the surface, getting pushed back down. And before you know it, we're feeling torn apart by all these different energies and movements, and the parts of us that are pushing them down, they're coming up and we're pushing them down, and you're stuck in this place like this, right? All the emotions are coming up, everything else is pushing down, and you're stuck in the middle like, ah. And this is not how to feel better. And most people, in trying to feel better, they're actually perpetuating this cycle. You see, an emotion comes up, they don't like it, so they push it down and try and change the world outside, or try and distract themselves or numb out, right? It's like, oh, I'll go do this fun thing, it'll help me feel better. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing fun things, but if you do them chronically without addressing the feelings first, the sort of the negative feelings will sort of, that loop will intensify. That's why you get old people who are very bitter. Have you ever wondered that? There's nothing to do, age has nothing to do with being bitter. It's just that the old people have had more time to really bed in these negative emotional loops, right? They've had 80 years to really work at repressing their emotions. And all that bitterness is just a coping strategy for the what's the phrase? I want to say like Tinder pot or something. It's not that. It's like you know what I mean. The volatile crucible of potential explosive and painful emotion. I'm going to call it that. Instead, we want to learn how to feel better. We want to get better at feeling rather than feeling better, right? We want to get better at feeling. This means becoming more skillful. It means learning to spot our resistance to our feelings and giving it what it needs to relax. And I've got a video on resistance I just released a couple of weeks ago. It's that one before this. That'll be really useful for that. It's learning to allow the emotions. It's learning to listen to the emotions, to talk to them, to hear what they're trying to tell you, because that's the reason they're here, is to communicate something to you. And most importantly, to learn to feel them. So to really allow the sadness to be here and fully let yourself be sad or afraid, or fully let yourself feel the anger. By this, I don't mean act it out, which would be when you put that emotional pain on other people. You harm other people in an attempt to change the emotion. Nor do you repress it. It's the middle way where you contain it. It's like that emotion is in your body. It's here, it's vibrating, but it's held in your attention, and you have enough capacity in your nervous system to be present with it and to really hold it. There's a nice analogy that really helps you grasp the difference between the two approaches of trying to feel better and getting better at feeling. So imagine that you're at home and that someone knocks on the door, and you go and open the door, and there's a person there who's very, very sad. They're representing here the emotion of sadness, in case you didn't get that. Person's very sad. Now, are you going to help that person, that sadness, to feel better by saying, no, I don't want you here, and slamming the door in his face? Or you welcome her in and say, hey, it's okay to be sad. Take a seat. Would you like a cup of tea? Tell me what's going on. And being really present with that person and just listening, not trying to change them, not trying to make them feel better, not trying to cheer them up. How annoying is that when people do that, right? Why is that annoying? Because they're invalidating your feelings. They're invalidating how you are. They're trying to change and manipulate you. That's why it feels fucking irritating when people do that, right? And your emotions feel the same way. They get really pissed off. It's really annoying when, on behalf of your emotions, when you try to change them. They don't like it. It's invalidating them. And if you actually listen to them, invite them in, ask if they would like a cup of tea, they will relax much, much quicker. And that part will integrate. You'll integrate some of that anger from the past, that fear, that sadness, that shame, right? And so it's this process of learning to get better and better at feeling that really starts to open you up and help you to feel better in your life. Because it's a skill that goes infinitely deep, right? You can get a really good intuition for how the different layers of your emotional body and nervous system work, right? So an emotion might, like, for example, I've learned that when anxiety comes up, there's almost always anger beneath it for me. So when I get anxious, I start feeling into, well, okay, what here is angry? It's like, oh, actually, there's a part of me, you get anxious because you got so much work, but there's a part of me that's a little child that wants to go like, fuck this, I don't want to do any of this, and just wants to, throw my laptop in the bin and just go out and have fun, right? Of course, and I've got to let that part come up. I'm not going to be able to do any work until that part's come up and been felt. Or you can get really intuitive about the resistance, about ways in which you're resisting your emotions. Like some people, some clients I notice resist in very, very subtle ways, like they get confused or they start to feel a bit nauseous. And this is signs to me always that there's some emotion behind there. And also there's different patterns of thinking that come in. Maybe clients will start asking loads of questions all of a sudden. And it's, when we start hitting on something quite tender. And you'll notice your mind try and distract you in 1,000 different ways with very, very reasonable sounding rationales. And again, you deepen your intuition, you get better at feeling by noticing, oh no, that's my mind just trying to distract. Let's just go back to the feeling. Why is this, and starting to get to know in you, what is it that your body believes is so bad about this feeling? Like, why is it more important to invade? Why do you need to invade another country to avoid this feeling? Why do you need to start another business to avoid this feeling? Why do you need to ring up your ex to avoid this feeling? Why do you need to go to the pub to avoid this feeling? You get the drift. There's nothing wrong with any of those things, apart from possibly invading a country. There's something wrong with that. But, and even, yeah. But they're just ways we're trying to feel better that won't work in the long term. They just amplify the loop of feeling worse and worse and worse. They just accelerate it. So I've got some videos on how you can start to do this stuff yourself. I've got it's called like how to do somatic emotional work yourself. There's one there. How to feel your feelings is a video I've got, which will be very apposite for this. And I've got a couple of specific ones on anger. So I hope this was helpful. Peace out.